Imagine standing on the deck of a wooden ship more than 2,000 years ago, the Aegean Sea stretching endlessly in every direction, the sky above alive with stars that ancient sailors believed governed fate itself. To the people of the ancient world, the heavens were not distant objects of curiosity. They were clocks, calendars, and divine messages written in light. Long before telescopes or computers, the Greeks sought to understand these celestial patterns, believing that if the universe followed rules, then those rules could be measured, modeled, and even predicted. What they created in pursuit of that belief would one day overturn everything modern historians thought they knew about ancient technology. In the spring of 1901, sponge divers working off the coast of the small Greek island of Antikythera descended into unusually deep waters, far deeper than they were accustomed to. One diver surfaced in distress, claiming he had seen dead bodies scattered across the seabed. At first, his companions thought he had been poisoned by nitrogen narcosis, a common danger at such depths. But when a second diver descended, he returned with something unmistakably real, a bronze arm from an ancient statue. What lay beneath the waves was not a mass grave, but a Roman-era shipwreck filled with treasures, statues, pottery, jewelry, and objects intended for wealthy elites of the ancient Mediterranean world. Among these artifacts was a small, heavily corroded lump of bronze and wood, broken into fragments and almost completely ignored. It looked like nothing more than debris, fused together by centuries underwater. When it was brought to the National Archaeological Museum in Athens, it was placed among countless other recovered objects, waiting its turn for examination. No one paid it much attention, and no one imagined it would become one of the most important archaeological discoveries in human history. Months later, as conservators carefully cleaned the artifacts, the corroded lump cracked open. Inside, something utterly unexpected appeared, interlocking bronze gears with finely cut teeth. These were not decorative patterns. They were mechanical components, precise and intentional. At first, scholars assumed they were fragments of some unknown clock, but that idea was quickly dismissed. Mechanical clocks, as far as history knew, did not exist in the ancient world. The prevailing belief was that such technology emerged more than 1,000 years later, during the medieval period. This object should not have existed. As more fragments were examined, the mystery deepened. There were dozens of gears, arranged in complex ratios that made no sense for simple machinery. The fragments showed evidence of dials, inscriptions, and rotating shafts. Whatever this object was, it had been designed to calculate something. For decades, historians avoided confronting its implications. Accepting it meant rewriting the technological timeline of civilization, and that was a deeply uncomfortable prospect. In the mid-20th century, physicist Derek de Solla Price took a serious interest in the object. Using X-ray imaging, he revealed the internal structure hidden beneath corrosion. What he found shocked him. The gears were arranged with mathematical precision, matching known astronomical cycles discovered by ancient Greek astronomers. Some gear ratios corresponded to the Metonic cycle, a 19-year period used to reconcile lunar months with solar years. Others aligned with the Saros cycle, a pattern that allows eclipses to be predicted decades in advance. This was no ordinary mechanism. It was a machine designed to model the cosmos. Later examinations using advanced CT scanning uncovered Greek inscriptions etched directly onto the metal plates. These inscriptions were not ornamental. They were instructions, labels, and explanations. The device had been built to be used, read, and understood. It described the movement of the sun and moon, the phases of the moon, the timing of eclipses, and possibly even the motion of the known planets. One dial may have tracked the timing of the ancient Olympic Games, linking celestial cycles to human events. The realization was staggering. Around 100 BCE, ancient Greek engineers had constructed a portable, mechanical device capable of predicting astronomical events with remarkable accuracy. In modern terms, it was an analog computer, the earliest one ever discovered. The implications were profound. If the Greeks could build this, then the ancient world was far more technologically advanced than previously believed. It meant that complex mechanical engineering did not begin in medieval Europe, but in classical antiquity. It suggested that entire traditions of knowledge had been lost, erased by war, decay, and the collapse of civilizations. Who built it remains uncertain. Some scholars believe it may be connected to the scientific tradition of Archimedes, whose writings describe complex mechanical models of the heavens. Others point to the island of Rhodes, a known center of astronomical study and engineering at the time. Whoever created it possessed an extraordinary understanding of mathematics, astronomy, and mechanical design. The Antikythera mechanism was not magic, nor was it evidence of forgotten aliens or supernatural intervention. It was something far more unsettling, proof that human knowledge can rise to astonishing heights and then vanish almost completely. The machine represents a lost chapter of science, one that survived only by accident at the bottom of the sea. And yet, even now, we may only understand part of its purpose. Some gears are still not fully explained. Some inscriptions remain fragmented. The device hints at a broader tradition of machines that did not survive, suggesting that what we have found may not have been unique, but merely the lone survivor of a forgotten technological age. The Antikythera mechanism forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. Progress is not a straight line. Civilizations can discover incredible things and then lose them. Knowledge is fragile, and history, as we understand it, is often incomplete. What lies within this ancient machine is not just a record of eclipses or calendars. It is a message from the past, reminding us that the people who lived 2,000 years ago were not primitive observers of the universe. They were thinkers, engineers, and scientists who dared to turn the sky itself into a machine. And if such knowledge could be lost once, it raises a haunting question. How much more has vanished without a trace? The story does not end with the realization that the Antikythera mechanism was an ancient computer. In many ways, that is only the beginning, because once scientists accepted what the device was capable of, they were forced to ask deeper and more unsettling questions, not just about the machine itself, but about the world that produced it. To truly understand the Antikythera mechanism, one must imagine the intellectual environment of ancient Greece. This was a civilization obsessed with order in the universe. Greek philosophers believed that nature followed mathematical laws and that the heavens moved according to patterns that could be understood by the human mind. Figures like Pythagoras argued that numbers governed reality itself, while Plato described the cosmos as a perfectly ordered system created by a rational intelligence. Aristotle, though more grounded, still believed celestial motions followed precise rules distinct from the chaotic world of Earth. Astronomy was not merely stargazing. It was predictive science. Knowing when eclipses would occur was not just a matter of curiosity. Eclipses were seen as powerful omens that could influence politics, warfare, and religion. Being able to predict them meant power, intellectual, social, and sometimes even political power. The Antikythera mechanism appears to have been built for exactly this purpose, to tame the heavens and make their movements predictable. As researchers reconstructed the device digitally, they began to understand just how sophisticated it truly was. Turning a single hand crank would set multiple gear trains in motion. Each rotation represented the passage of time, and as the gears turned, dials on the front and back would display astronomical information. One dial tracked the position of the sun along the zodiac. Another followed the moon, complete with a clever mechanical solution that accounted for the moon's irregular speed as it orbited Earth, something modern science explains using elliptical orbits, but which Greek astronomers had already observed empirically. On the back of the device, spiral dials revealed even more astonishing capabilities. One spiral represented the metonic cycle, showing how lunar months aligned with solar years over a 19-year period. Another spiral represented the Saros cycle, allowing the prediction of eclipses decades in advance. Small inscriptions next to eclipse markers even described the type of eclipse, solar or lunar, and whether it would occur in the north or south. This level of detail leaves no doubt. The Antikythera mechanism was not theoretical. It was practical, educational, and predictive. It was likely used to teach astronomy, to plan religious festivals, and possibly to demonstrate the harmony of the cosmos itself. The craftsmanship required to build such a device was extraordinary. The gears were cut by hand, yet they achieved tolerances that rival early modern clockwork. The alignment had to be perfect. One miscalculation, one poorly cut tooth, and the entire system would fail. This suggests not only genius, but tradition, a lineage of knowledge passed down through generations of engineers and astronomers. And yet that lineage vanished. After the Roman era, complex mechanical technology all but disappeared from the historical record. The fall of the Western Roman Empire, the decline of urban centers, and the loss of institutions like the Library of Alexandria contributed to a massive erosion of scientific knowledge. Texts were destroyed, skills forgotten, and the intellectual momentum of the ancient world slowed dramatically. By the time mechanical clocks reappeared in medieval Europe, the Antikythera mechanism had already been lost for over a millennium. This raises one of the most haunting possibilities in the history of science, that humanity once stood on the brink of a technological revolution that never happened. Had this knowledge survived and spread, mechanical engineering and computational thinking might have advanced centuries earlier. The modern world could have arrived far sooner, or taken a completely different form. Some scholars believe the Antikythera mechanism may have been a luxury item, commissioned by a wealthy patron, perhaps even intended as a diplomatic gift. The shipwreck that carried it was transporting art and treasures, suggesting the device was valued not just as a tool, but as an object of prestige. If that is true, then similar devices may have existed, scattered across the ancient Mediterranean, now lost forever. Others argue it may have been unique, a masterpiece created by a single workshop at the peak of its knowledge. If so, it stands as a solitary monument to human ingenuity, a reminder that brilliance does not guarantee survival. Even today, researchers continue to study the fragments. New imaging techniques reveal details previously unseen. The inscriptions, once thought unreadable, slowly give up their secrets. Each new discovery adds clarity, but also raises new questions. Was the device capable of tracking planets beyond the sun and moon? Did it model the full Greek cosmological system? Were there earlier prototypes we will never find? What makes the Antikythera mechanism so powerful is not just what it is, but what it represents. It forces us to abandon the comforting idea that progress is inevitable and permanent. It shows us that knowledge can be gained, refined, and then erased, leaving behind only faint echoes for future generations to rediscover. In a sense, the Antikythera mechanism is a time capsule, not just of bronze and gears, but of a mindset, a belief that the universe could be understood through reason, mathematics, and careful observation. It is proof that long before silicon chips and digital screens, humans were already thinking computationally, already building machines to model reality itself. When you look at the fragments today displayed behind glass, they may seem quiet and inert. But 2,000 years ago, this machine moved. Its gears turned. Its dials shifted. It told stories of eclipses yet to come, of moons waxing and waning, of years unfolding in predictable harmony. It was a conversation between humanity and the cosmos, spoken in metal and motion. And perhaps that is its greatest legacy. The Antikythera mechanism reminds us that the drive to understand the universe is ancient, deeply human, and timeless. It reminds us that intelligence is not bound to any era. And it leaves us with a humbling thought, that somewhere in the ruins of history, there may still be other machines, other ideas, waiting to be rediscovered, ready once again to change how we see the past and ourselves.